Hello, everybody. Welcome to Feedback for the week of November 22nd, Thanksgiving week. So many things to be thankful for. Number one, thankful for my panel. Ms. Jessica Chobot is here. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Matt Kyle and Mr. Jake Gaskell. Thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thanks.
We've all been really busy putting together X-Play Holiday Buyer's Guides, buying games that are on X-Play Holiday Buyer's Guides, writing about the games that are on X-Play Holiday Buyer's Guide. Before we get into the news, though, I want to ask you guys, what are you most thankful for this year? And by that, I mean, what are you most thankful for, something that's happened maybe in the video game industry? I'll start it off to give you some perspective. I'm really thankful for things like Call of Duty XP. We work in the video game industry. We're very privileged to be able to go to a lot of press events and to be able to experience a lot of these games amongst our peers on a fairly regular basis. I love that companies are doing things like XP where they're getting the fans together, and for a couple days they get to experience what we all get to experience on a fairly regular basis. So I'm thankful for things like BlizzCon, XP, things like that. Jessica, what about you?
Wow. Okay. I guess I'm thankful for my job. I like the fact that I have a job that is involved in playing and talking about video games. Life does not suck. Couldn't have asked for a better situation. Aside from that, I guess just in the industry itself, I'm thankful for Skyrim still.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. No.
I've been, in order to talk about feedback, been playing some other games, Saints Row, Assassin's Creed. Obviously, Uncharted 3 back was great, but Skyrim's really just captured my heart. I haven't felt this way about a game since maybe Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm really thankful for that.
That's
Even
beautiful.
though that's somewhat superficial, but I don't care.
That's very superficial, but beautiful nonetheless.
Thanks. I mean it.
Matt?
This might seem a little cheesy, I don't know, but I'm thankful that every time we do one of those panels at PAX or Comic-Con or wherever we do the X-Play panel, we pretty much fill the room.
Yeah.
And that keeps happening. So I guess I'm thankful that people continue to like us and actually take time out of their convention schedule to be in that room, even if they're just waiting for good seats for Mike and Jerry.
I cannot agree more. I mean, we obviously we're very self-contained here when we do our little video game show, and we think nobody watches our show and nobody listens to us, and then we go to these things and it's like, wow, people do pay attention. And I can tell you firsthand, we do 3 shows a week, arguably 48, 49 weeks out of the year. It gets a little repetitious at times to do those shows, but when we prepare for our PAX shows or our panel shows, it's like we're all making television for the very first time all over again, and it's just a really cool experience. So I agree with you 100% on that. Jake, what about you?
I probably have to echo what Jessica said. The job is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing people to come to work with every day. And I think we were having a Thanksgiving kind of potluck lunch, and I think probably 90% of the people said it's great to come to work with people you don't hate.
Right.
And that a lot of people
totally.
just can't say that, and it's one of those things that we really, really have to be thankful for and don't take for granted.
Yeah.
And playing games. I mean, we could play amazing games this season. I think maybe too many. They maybe thankful that we have so many amazing games to play.
Right.
So I don't know.
I agree with all of you. This is a beautiful moment, you
It
guys.
is, isn't
We're all
it?
very happy to have this
Let's
job.
hold hands.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
let's
so
make a
rare.
circle.
Yeah, it's so rare.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all have great jobs and couldn't have those jobs without you guys at home. So thank you for watching as well. Now on to something negative, though. Now that we've been so
Let's get back to
positive.
business.
Let's
Well,
get
it is
back to
Thanksgiving
business
after all.
here.
Let's go.
This is, this theme, it really is a common theme in all of the feedbacks, or really any sort of open video game discussion, I think, over the past couple years. Publishers not following through with promises. I will just kind of lay out a couple things that have happened in recent months, and then we can kind of give our opinions on what we feel about that. But the one thing I want to keep in mind, the one thing that I really want to focus on is whether or not this makes a huge difference to people and whether or not they should be keeping all of these promises. I'm sure I know what the fans at home's answer is going to be, but for us, number one, I think the Call of Duty Elite servers, they've had a ton of issues since the game's launch. And I'm not going to say this was part of the reason that people bought this game, because people are going to buy Call of Duty because they want to play Call of Duty, but it was definitely some extra incentive for what we learned with XP for a community that is a lot bigger than I think Infinity Ward and those guys had ever thought was possible. The servers not being readily available and the servers being down, and their excuse of we just weren't prepared for the kind of demand that was going to be placed on the servers, That's ridiculous. You had the biggest video game launch of all time, and then you
like
follow
3
that
years
up
running.
3 years running,
Yeah.
and then you follow that up with arguably the most anticipated game now of the year, and we've now seen a couple weeks out of launch. 9.5 million copies, was it the first weekend or first week? I mean, stratospheric sales
Well, I mean,
numbers.
and they must have had those pre-order numbers at some point that they could have gotten a rough estimate, an idea of what to expect.
Absolutely.
Not
They
even
knew they had 9
counting,
million
not
pre-orders.
even counting the previous years and the experiences there. So I don't see
Well, I think
why
that
this
excuse
is such
of
a
like we were
surprise.
surprised that it was so popular. I mean, if that was coming from anybody, maybe Blizzard, it would be a little more ridiculous. But the fact that they're all under the same
It's a
parent
weird-
company is
Right.
hilarious. That
It's
they,
a weird
they have the biggest communities in the
excuse
world.
that still allows them to pat themselves on the back, which, you know, hey, they have every right to. It's a great game. But at the same time, it's like, you know, come on, guys, show a little bit of embarrassment that you're kind of failing your fans a little bit with what they were expecting.
There's probably a little bit of like, you know, no battle plan survives contact with the enemy. I'm sure there's an element when you're doing something like that. They're like, well, we've got all these servers and we're ready for it. And it's like, oh, is it going to work? I'm like, yeah. You know, and then it's like,
sure.
you know, 9 million people try to connect at once and everything just falls apart. And like,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's going to have, you know, I think, you know, and not to naysay it, but like, because I really enjoy it. Now the NDA is up, woo. But Old Republic, I'm kind of worried.
Really?
Oh, no.
I'm just wondering like how long the server queues are going to be to get into that game on like the launch days and the early access days.
Right. I mean, we've seen this happen before, and I don't want to get too off topic, but something like DC Universe Online, we have a great relationship with those guys. I think the game's fantastic. They had to know server queues were already bad when it was a subscription-based service. They had to know when they were going to go free to play. They were going to need, you know, buy Guatemala and put a bunch of server farms there and work it out, because you have to anticipate the demand of these games.
Although to be
at this
fair, I
point.
don't know if I would have thought that 1 million people would suddenly join up on DC
Right.
Universe for free. I mean, you know, I don't know if I think they probably have a valid like we didn't expect 1 million people to
Right.
show up excuse, and good for them that they did. But like Modern Warfare is probably one of like the handful of games, including like the World of Warcraft expansion and, you know, Old Republic and Diablo 3, that I would think I think, you know,
You have a
That's
pretty
gonna
good
be
idea.
get a few
Your
million
install
people.
base is, you know, roughly the size of a small country.
Yeah.
You need to anticipate this being pretty big. But one of the things they've offered, they said they've immediately and automatically extended your membership to Call of Duty Elite by 30 days at no additional cost. Look, contrary to popular belief, we are not rich people here on this network. We're a very small network. That said, I don't think that 30 days free, even to people that don't make a lot of money, is enough to make up for the fact that it just didn't work. Are they doing enough to apologize here? I think giving it for a year for free would be fantastic. That's my opinion. I know it could severs their business model,
I was gonna
but there
say,
are ways to
Well,
there are ways to implement in-game transactions that can somehow offset the cost of maybe giving some of this stuff away
Yeah.
for free. But 30 days,
Well, it
really?
only seems ridiculous when you look at how much money they make.
Right.
Like, I mean, they made, you know, $450 million in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Giving these people a year, I don't think Activision is going to hurt.
But I
for
don't
that.
think
Exactly.
I don't
But
think
you
can-
couldn't, I mean-
you can't do that because
Right.
like, you know, everyone thinks of the 30 days of like the stat track, whatever you get for, you know, what you get for subscribing to Elite is the map packs,
Right.
You know, and they're not going to give those away for free. Look at, you know, how many? It's like 51 million
something.
Black Ops map packs or something.
Something
It's ridiculous.
And like, yeah, that's your double your money thing. You're not going to give anyone that for free.
I think from a business standpoint, a year might be too long, obviously, but I definitely think they're going somewhat down the right path with trying to give them 30 days for free. I don't think 30 days is enough, but maybe a couple months, like 3 to 4 months or something along those lines, or, you know, something that's a little bit more realistic for them that they can do that, I think is definitely at least a route to take that's going to sort of apologize for the way that their servers are
Or even
behaving.
just a little, like, you know, if maybe the Elite members that are already subscribed can get like a I survived,
Yeah, like specialty
Elite
swag.
Apocalypse 11 or something, like kind of badge or something to have in the game, or, you know, just to show they were there, you know, not like the founder one like you get in the Hardened edition, but like just something that like kind of says like I was there first and I dealt with the outages and it was like a, you know, kind
That's
of like
a
a badge
great
of honor.
idea.
Sure.
You're gonna have that one, Activision. Go for it.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
specialized swag. That would be. I would almost hope that my server
Please
failed.
don't work,
I
right?
get that limited
Oh,
edition
God.
T-shirt. Oh yes.
I don't think that's
And
connected
then
to the
I put
internet.
it on eBay.
Don't say that. And Matt, you're a big PC gamer. I mean, I would say as far as the XPlay stats concerned, you're probably the biggest PC gamer on staff.
Except for Morgan.
Except for Morgan, right? But Morgan's not playing a ton of online shooters, right? PC
No,
shooters.
no.
She's more RTS and things of that nature. But the PC version was delayed. It was rumored that they would just drop it altogether. Then they said, "Oh no, we misspoke it. You know, we always wanted to have a PC service, and we're having that for the fans." Do you find it odd that essentially the platform that really established what this genre is, they don't think about that. It's very secondary to making sure that the console players are the ones that are happy here. As a PC gamer, how does it make you feel that 5 years since really the explosion of console FPSs that we're looking at this world now?
I don't think it doesn't surprise me in the sense that like Call of Duty's a console phenomenon.
Right.
You know? The shooter as it exists today was basically invented by Call of Duty 2, which was very, very much identified as a 360 launch title more than a PC shooter, and it's just snowballed from there. Something like 4% of total Modern Warfare 3 sales were PC.
Yeah, it was so marginal
it was some
that
crazy
yeah.
tiny number. It's like 300,000 or something.
Right.
And it was compared to like 5 million on
Right.
the Xbox, and so it's like, yeah, they don't care because that's not even a fraction as much money to be made off of PC gamers, especially because on the PC you can get stuff for like half price on Steam sometimes, and you can
Sure.
get crazy deals and stuff like that. So yeah, your money is in the console gamers. So you throw the bone to the PC people and like try to but I don't think they really care what we think in that regard. I think
Right.
they and in the meantime I kind of don't care either. I'm just like, oh, I've got my Witcher 2, I've got my my Old Republic, I've got my my tons of indie bundles to play with. I don't play shooters on PC too much anymore just because it's kind of over, except for like Team Fortress 2 and Counter-Strike's coming up and stuff, but it's like that's a different kind of shooter than what Call of Duty is doing.
Sure. And I mean, we're speculating here, but I look at what we've seen of Overstrike, and it looks very much like a Team Fortress 2 type game. I mean, do we see Overstrike maybe even taking more of the kind of mental market share away from games like Team Fortress 2? Because that's a dedicated console experience.
Could be. We'll see. Insomniac has never really quite managed to capture the public imagination with the multiplayer department. They've been more single-player games or just adorable Ratchet games.
Right.
But we'll see. What maybe this might be the one that finally hits in the multiplayer department. Although you say you see Team Fortress, I see Team Fortress in there definitely, but I also see Brute Force.
Right.
So we'll
Right.
see what we end up with.
But Brute Force had the shark tunneling under the ground gun, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. And
No. That was
What was that?
that was that LucasArts game.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, damn. What's
That's how bad it was. None of us can remember it.
the name of it.
And
with
we've all
with the British robot who drank the tea
Yeah.
and the
Great. And before we move on to the other story, the EA story, Jess, I just want to ask you, Jake, from a journalist perspective, have you seen PC game coverage drop over the past couple years? I mean, G4TV.com covers everything, but it seems like there's just a lot more information on the console side of things than PC stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think for PC, most of the stories end up being cheating, hacking, modding. I mean, that's kind of where it stays. Piracy is obviously like that's kind of exclusively in the PC realm. So, I mean, as far as games go, I mean, most things come out on multi-platform, so we're covering at that.
Right.
Basically like 90% of the stuff is like the patch is out, it's crashing on the PCs, the drivers are conflicting, like my hardware's melting down, like that. Those kinds of things are realities for PC gamers.
or
So
if you're Rage, everything all the above.
everything
does not work.
for everything.
Yeah.
Also, Armed and Dangerous. That was the name.
Yes, thank you, Matt.
Oh, nice
Oh, man.
job, Matt.
Get it off my shoulders.
You're amazing.
God. I remember back in the day before we had these phones, we'd all be sitting around like, what's that movie? And you'd have to call Blockbuster because they had the giant book of movies in the Blockbuster.
No one will believe this, but I actually remembered it before I saw it on the phone. I was loading up LucasArts' Wikipedia page, and I'm just like, it was something dangerous. Oh, right. The most common way to
Right.
Right. Indeed.
Unfortunately, John Candy not attached to that particular title.
No.
Rest in peace, Johnny. Jessica, also EA, Battlefield, Broken
So,
promises.
Speaking along the same lines of this discussion, EA is being sued over their broken promise that people that picked up the PS3 version of Battlefield 3 would get Battlefield 1943. Then the day that BF3 was released, they decided to announce that that was when they changed their mind and that they're not going to do that anymore. So now they're basically being sued for the fact that they misled the public and are profiting off of that, because there's who knows how many people that picked up BF3 title hoping to have the 1943 and
Right.
then are now told they're not having it.
Right.
So it's just an interesting situation. I compare between the two, between like the COD issues and the server issues and the Battlefield 3 and the Broken Promise issue, this I definitely think is along the lines where this is something I would find unforgivable.
Sure.
The other ones, it's an irritant, but
But it'll be fixed.
it'll
At
be
some
They
point.
didn't
fixed.
cancel Elite.
This isn't
right,
the first
right.
time that servers have had issues. You know, you kind of expect this. They didn't cancel it. And they're trying to kind of, make up for it by giving you that 30 days free.
Right.
This is just a straight up, for lack of a better phrase, feel free to bleep this out. This is just straight up you, I think, to the gamers. And I've had this discussion a couple, feedbacks previous, where I thought this is the only industry where we excuse straight up broken promises and broken content, and we're like, oh, it's okay. Nowhere else in any kind of industry would this be acceptable.
Right.
Yeah,
Like if I
it's
go to
not- it's not-
McDonald's and order a Big Mac and you give me a carrot stick, I'm going to be pissed off.
Yes,
'Cause
exactly.
I want a Big Mac.
That's an interesting
Yeah.
I'm super
comparison,
hungry
but
right
yes.
now.
You,
Yeah.
you go to the you go to see the
Give me
new
a break.
Mission Impossible movie, and Tom Cruise isn't actually starring. in
Yeah,
this.
right?
It's
Yeah.
actually
or he's only
uh,
starring in the
yeah,
first
right.
half.
Yeah.
It's like blurry and then it kind of glitches out halfway
Yeah.
through.
This guy kind of looks like Tom
Yeah.
Cruise. Maybe
I go to a
he's-
strip club, buy a lap dance. They bring me a cup of Earl Grey tea, and my high school social economics teacher comes out.
Well, and
I don't like that.
It's
I want
interesting to
boobies.
None of
me,
us do.
and I've always, I don't think it's like this anymore, but when it first happened and you started having like options for DLC and patches and things of that nature, I always kind of wondered, are they putting out broken games just knowing that they can fix it kind of in post with, patches? And I'm sure maybe to a small extent, but I'm wondering if it's happened so long now that us as consumers have just accepted that fact and not realizing that as a consumer we have certain rights and we should expect certain things to be accomplished to justify that $60 price tag.
I mean,
And-
we've all drank at enough industry events to have heard some things off the record that we probably shouldn't hear. I know from my experience, a lot of this has to do with the fact that marketing gets heavily involved with the release of these games because they're like, here's the window that we have. Gears 3 was a great example of the way things are done right, in that Microsoft says, take 8 extra You're Gears 3. Make it great. Take all the time you need to finish this, whatever, et
Also,
cetera,
we
et
got
cetera.
nothing else
And but
for the fall.
but marketing,
Just hang on.
I think that I think it has less to do with them thinking, let's just release and we'll fix it later, and more so to do with marketing department going, here's the ad buys we have. We want to run ads during the NBA finals. We want to do this cover of Game Informer. We only have February available, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's
I get
probably
that,
something to do with it.
And I'm sure that has a huge amount to do with it. But this Battlefield issue is such a complete screw up.
Yeah, I mean, they're,
Like,
they offered
there's
content
no
and they're
excuse. If marketing's the reason why this occurred, which
No,
I
that's
wouldn't-
we're talking about why games are sometimes released that aren't completely done. I
Oh.
think that's marketing. I don't think there's any excuse for
There's
not
no
giving
excuse
people
for
what
this.
they
Well,
think
also,
that they
I
paid
love
for.
that the flip side is like, in exchange, the PS3 gamers will get the expansion pack a week early. It's like, that's been in the ads for weeks.
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I
Plus
know
it's
you
like-
And
didn't
also, that's
come up with that
kind
as
of expected. A lot of times, games are sold with that premise in mind. Like,
Yeah.
well, if you buy the Xbox 360 version, you'll get it early. I think their argument in court is going to be, well, how many people really bought Battlefield 3 for that free copy of 1940? I can assure you, and they've probably found some way to measure what that is, and I assume that's what their argument will be. I'm with you. I think if you're going to promise me something, give it to me.
This actually
Don't
makes me
just
pretty
deny me.
personally angry. I think it's
Yeah.
just so rude to do this to
Well, it's also
your
the way
consumer.
the way they handled it and everything. They didn't really announce it. It was like through a Twitter response and stuff like that. So there was no official
Right.
we're sorry in an explanation. Like if it was just manufacturing screwed up and we couldn't put it on the disc, something
It just
to attach
smacks
it
of
to.
taking advantage of gamers. It just
Right.
smacks of taking advantage of the fact that we're EA. This is a huge title. We're big enough that, you guys don't like it, tough then don't buy our stuff.
And
I love
does
how
it
they
seem-
replied to a person too.
Yeah.
They didn't release like an official
Yeah,
tweet.
like-
It was an at reply
Oh, right,
to a dude, Ham Zach's Revenge, who I'm sure is their target.
Tell your friends.
Yeah,
you know,
hey, Ham Zach's Revenge, tell your 32 followers
Like, that
that
guy's pretty popular. We
Yeah.
went through,
That
we
guy
went through enough
probably
channels.
works for the marketing department.
That's
It was
fantastic.
actually all planned.
Right.
And is there anything like a little bit of like, kind of screw the PS3 gamers a little bit? Like it's it's
Well, I was
like
going to say gamers in general, just
gamers
by the
in general,
attitude, but specifically PS3 gamers,
'Cause, like,
absolutely.
They get, PS3 versions of things get shafted all the time. I know like Skyrim has a lot of bugs on the PS3. It's like it just seems like I know it's hard. It's a hard console to work with by reports of many developers I know, but like
Sure.
it's just like is there an element of like well, there's not that many guys playing Battlefield on the PS3, so who cares?
Yeah,
Like,
quite possibly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that's all speculation, but sometimes I feel like the PS3 only owners get a little brushed aside by maybe marketing, maybe so I don't know, but
Sure.
just because they are not the top of the heap
Right.
in terms of
And then
sales.
something like Portal 2 comes along, and you're like, oh, okay.
Right, and then you're like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
you can
You
actually
can.
have a top-selling PS3 version of something
I see.
if you, I don't know, put effort into
Right.
it. Who knows?
I think we can all look forward to that one console future, man. It's going to make things a whole lot easier.
Yeah,
for a
I'm
lot
sure
of
that'll be
people.
great.
Yeah,
It's
at
awesome.
some point.
I can't wait till I have to depend on one box for my games,
It's called the
my
PC.
movies, and my
Yeah,
television.
we'll see at CES what that really means, because I'm sure, like we speculated a couple weeks ago, that Xbox 720 is going to do a lot more than just play video games.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
think it's all going through one box if they have
Well, I mean,
their
it's
way.
already like that for us. I mean, these are entertainment
Yeah.
systems. These aren't necessarily gaming systems.
Right.
I mean, I prefer them for gaming systems, but c'est la vie.
But, it is a Netflix system
Yep.
as well.
Very much so. All right. Well, speaking of the games that you can play on these systems, we've got two Game of the Weeks this week. Matt, you're going to start off the first one, Saints Row the Third, the sleeper hit of the year.
Yep.
Fantastic game.
We've been pushing this one pretty hard.
Very hard on XPlay.
In part because I know, many, many months ago when we were looking at the games we wanted to like get involved with and do stuff with, I was like, Saints Row at all costs. And everyone, Saints Row is going to be awesome. We want to be involved in this. And everyone kind of looked at me like, what? Like Saints what? Whatever. Yeah, okay, sure, whatever. And then of course, they started seeing the videos come out. I think it was the Deckers trailer that really convinced me and other people on the staff. Was like, oh, with the Tron stuff, that was like, oh, this game does not give a
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it
It
does
is the
not
honey,
care.
It is the honey badger of video games.
Yeah.
It is it's pretty amazing. Just got crazy over the top stuff at all. Because one of the problems I've had with Saints Row games previously is I felt they were really functioning in the shadow of GTA. And sort of like they're spiritual sequels to San Andreas, whereas GTA 4 kind of went in the Oscar caliber direction. Whereas the Saints Row kind of went more like, hey, why don't we have some fun? Why not? Let's have a mini game where we intentionally get run over by cars and get money for it. Let's do it. And this one finally kind of found its voice. It finally figured out like it's not under the shadow of anything. It is its own game. It is its own thing, and it's just like if you want to run around naked and get points for that, you can do that. You can run around use a streaking mini game. You can do these crazy missions. The first mission has you diving through a plane's windshield and parachuting twice and catching the same person a couple of times.
It's
and
so good.
Robbing a bank from a helicopter. I mean, it's and you can finish the whole game without ever going back to your hideout.
I would
Because
have
you can
to.
just keep calling and go places. You never have to have any downtime,
Right.
which is the brilliant part. They cut all the fat out of it, and some, you might want to say that like it could, you lose a little sense of place in that regard. You don't really learn the map of the city. You don't really feel like Steelport is a real town so much. But who cares?
Yeah.
I'm in a.
You've got a giant dildo bat,
I'm a
and
giant
you can call
dildo
it
bat.
an airstrike at any time.
I'm in a VTOL transforming jet, and I'm trying to strafe sex slaves pulling buggy carts that explode when I shoot them.
God, I
So-
hope that was the elevator pitch, because that is a fantastic way to describe this game.
I feel like I'm playing a Quentin Tarantino movie. Like it's just so. I was probably one of the well, I shouldn't say probably. I am one of the people that the previous Saints Row games, I'm like, I kind of just dismissed them because it's just another GTA, and I just didn't care. And then this one I picked up completely doubtful that I was going to like it, especially considering it was following my, 60 hours of Skyrim, Uncharted 3, and Batman.
Right.
And so once I popped this, I ran upstairs and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, even the voice acting, I picked the Russian chick and she's fantastic.
All the player voices are great, including the zombie.
Oh, yeah, the
Which
zombie's
I love. You
awesome.
can play the entire game with a zombie voice. Like it's all just like.
So, quick question. Are you a zombie voice?
No, I'm using the regular American girl's voice.
Because I'm wondering if there's a scene where you're riding in the car and you're singing along to the music.
Yes, the
do
zombie
you
sings
sing
along.
along
Yes.
as a zombie?
Yes, the zombie sings along.
That's amazing.
That
was
particular
one of our
moment.
moments.
Jake, why do you think it took so long for them to, as Matt said, like finally find their voice? Because I remember going to the Saints Row 1 like press event in San Francisco a number of years ago, and there was a pimp there, and he would slap you if you wanted him to. And I worked at MTV at the time, and so they're like, absolutely,
course.
get the kicked out of you by that pimp. It'll be great for television. And it wasn't. It was terrible. But they've always wanted to be this game. Why did it take 3 versions of this game for them to finally get it right? Because this is really a drastic departure from even the first 2 games.
Well, I think early on, it's clearly them going after GTA. I mean, it's like we need a game that does what GTA does.
Sure.
So when you're that's kind of your starting point. It's going to take a little bit because you're going to have to fail a lot, and you have to have a lot of people say it's not GTA. Stop being GTA. And they're like, well, let's kind of stick with that, but kind of tweak it just a little bit. Maybe then we'll keep it because we want to kind of keep those people that are GTA fans.
Yeah, want to get a slice of that pie.
So it's it's going to take a while, and then at some point someone just goes, you know what, we need to just have fun. You guys need to, and we talked to Danny Bilson and people at THQ and guys at Volition and stuff, and it was basically that idea of like having just deciding we're going to come in every day and just think of anything that you could possibly imagine and things you couldn't imagine, throw them together, and just give people a game that they'll never forget, they've never seen before, that they can just jump in and have fun and kind of take that model of the GTA open world, like we're so kind of used to that now, and doing something just completely different. So,
Right.
and I think they've absolutely nailed it. So,
And I love that like they just cut away everything that could like impede you, even like just the fact that you can just dive right into the car. It's like you don't even give the player the time it takes to open the door, because in that time taking to open the door, you might think maybe I don't want to play this anymore. But no, you're in it, you're gone, you're going, go. Right. And the other thing I love is that I had a tank in my garage inside of an hour. Because
Yeah.
like the military showed up and there was a tank, and I'm just like, wonder if I can take that tank. No, I can't take that.
Oh
tank.
yeah, I can
well, all
take-
you have to do
I
is
wonder if I can put that tank in my garage and save it forever. Oh, I can. And it's awesome.
you just have to play the first mission where you rip a bank vault out of a bank in a helicopter with guys dressed up like themselves
Yeah.
to know that this is
game
going to
is
be
amazing.
this is going to be a rad game.
Right.
So.
And why do you think and obviously this game came out, I mean, we're talking Skyrim, the Batmans, but even to and I hate to say lesser extent, but the Halo Combat Anniversary, like there are a lot of games that came out around this time. So the coverage of this game, obviously not as big as I'm sure THQ wanted it to be. Danny Bilson, like you said, you spoke to him. He came on XPlay, incredibly gracious to be given the opportunity to talk about this game. But people have known for a while, especially since we started showing these Saints moments, that this was a special game. Why did it not get the coverage? Jess, why do you think it didn't get the coverage that the other games were getting? Is it because of the games like Skyrim?
I definitely think it's because of those types of titles. And I also think that, maybe they just had a go for broke mentality. They were ready and they just were like, okay, well, if we're going to do this, let's just do it around the holidays. And I would say that, obviously I don't know what the numbers are off the top of my head right now, but I would say over the course of Christmas, I would be surprised if this didn't become a huge, huge hit for them, in the sense that getting the opportunity to talk about the title and also advertising and whatnot is a little on the low side. I think word of mouth, things like this podcast and other gamers that are going to tell their friends, oh my God, you can't believe what I just did in this game. I think that is going to be the thing that really pushes their numbers and supports this title. And I actually think that's amazing and awesome. It's nice to see that that's the way a game succeeds nowadays.
Right. Big question for you, Matt. We've had a meeting yesterday about the XPlay's Best of the Year awards and things like that. Saints Row was talked about quite a bit because it is, in fact, one of the best games of the year. Does it win a Game of the Year anywhere, any outlet? Because it is one of the best.
No.
Right.
I don't think so. But I think a lot of individual, gamers, like, forum posters, people on the internet, I think you'll see a lot of those people listing it as their favorite game of the year. Because one of the things about an outlet is an outlet has to come to a consensus, and not everybody's going to love this game
Sure.
the way the way some of us love it.
Not everybody's as childish as
Really,
collectively as all of us
but
are.
I think you're going to see, a lot of, the spread of Skyrims and Batmans and Uncharted's and stuff around the outlets. But I think you're going to see in personal lists, I think you're going to see a lot of Saints Row, and I think you're going to see a lot of Dark Souls. Mm-hmm. And I think those are the two games that are going to be like didn't win the major awards because they aren't the mainstreamers, but they're like games that people love and can love. I know developers who think Dark Souls is the best game ever made.
Yeah.
This
Absolutely.
is a very refreshing title to come up to,
So
especially during this time of the year.
And those two games, I think, are, if you look at the holiday release, spread, I think those two games are the most unique games. They're the ones that they can't be replaced by any other game in the release lineup.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody knows I'm a huge fan of Demon's Souls and Dark Souls, so I agree with you there. Jake, does Saints Row the Third win a game of the year if it's released any other year but the year that Skyrim and Batman and Uncharted comes out?
I mean, again, hard to say because it would probably be going up against who knows what.
Right.
But I think is like Matt was saying, I think it's going to be a lot of fan favorites. I think because it is that like just bleeding to please players, and when people look for games that they just want to have fun playing, that you're gonna be hard pressed to find a game that does that better.
Right.
So,
And you got to remember that it's not over because they've got something like 48 weeks of DLC planned, and
Right. That's
true.
and they've got the
And Danny confirmed on XPlay they are in fact making Saints Row the fourth or
Yeah.
whatever they're going to call it.
and you've got several of the expansion packs coming up, including one called Gangsters in Space, which I'm right on there.
Right.
No problem. Done. You got me.
Right.
Give me a lightsaber. But yeah, it's hard to explain why you should play it, but you should be on like, oh, things are crazy, because you can look at it and you'd be like, that's juvenile. That's
Right.
dumb. It's a guy with a dildo bat beating up zombies. Why do I want to play on? Just try it. Just do it.
It's juvenile, but it's really well done.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why they can get away with it. It's just really well made.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of satire and a lot of like some self-deprecation. They take shots at all the biggest games in the industry, but the trick is whereas games like Matt Hazard and Duke Nukem try to do that to some degree, Saints Row is a really good game. So that's the key. Is like if you're gonna make fun of someone, you better be doing what you're doing really well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Saints Row might be the first comedy, like satire-oriented game for the industry that like yeah, this game is great. Even if you take that away, it's like, this is a great game.
Right.
It's not writing on its comedy. It's using its comedy to enhance the fact that like we went for broke. What
Right.
have you done? What have you done lately?
Right. And obviously they did not. This is one of the least marketable games on the planet, given the fact that you
Just be
can't
one big
show
blur.
anything from
Yeah.
the game. If the numbers aren't, and we'll just quickly, I want to get each of your opinions on this before we move on. If the numbers for this game aren't that great, and Danny said, we're looking at this game, we're going to visit the numbers in like March. And then we'll know whether or not we felt it was successful for us. But if the numbers aren't that great, do games like this continue to be made? Games that are literally, they're like, we don't care about the legal repercussions of this game. We don't care about the fact that we can't market it. We don't care about any of that. This is not the kind of game that, it's not a shooter where we put explosions in and buildings fall, because that'll move 1 million copies guaranteed. Do games like this continue to be made if this is a huge sales disappointment?
From a business standpoint, probably, but it'll be few and far between, and probably a lot more difficult for those to see the light of day. From a personal standpoint, I sure as hell hope so, because to me, it just, even though it's goofy and over the top and crazy and blah 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 blah, it just shows such a nice attempt at creativity, a nice change of pace from what you see out there, especially this time of the year. There's a lot of really, everything's going hyper realistic, deep, meaningful, dark, incredibly in depth, and that's great, and I love it. I love the fact that I can spend 300 hours in Skyrim. However, sometimes you just want to have some candy.
Sometimes you want to beat a hooker with a dildo
Sometimes
bat.
you just want to beat a
game.
hooker with a dildo bat.
Amen, sister.
In
Amen.
a game, yes, correct. I'm
Very
sorry,
specific.
my
It's
bad,
important
my
to
bad.
specify.
So, yeah, I really, really hope to see that this continues.
I agree
What
100%.
if the flip side happens? What if it's a huge hit and then everybody tries to make their no holds barred ripoff game.
Right.
Then
Wouldn't
I'm
that be
gonna-
great if everybody,
Then
if,
everything
you know,
I just said didn't happen. It didn't happen.
it'd be
I wanna
great if
see
you know
I want to see EA's Saints Row ripoff. I just want to see
Right.
what that would be like.
Bobby Kotick getting his hands in that. No, that's not. Dark place. Don't go there, Blair. I agree, man. I hope that the numbers are fantastic. I think that people are going to buy the crap out of this game in January. They're going to get their Christmas money. They're going to do
Yep.
whatever they need to do with that money. And then they're gonna buy Battlefield 3 and not get 1943 and be pissed off and go return it. And then they're gonna go, I got $65 extra in January. Let's go play some
And
Saints
I
Row the
can't
Third.
think of a better title to do that with. I think it would really deserve that extra $65.
Right. And Jake, what about you? I mean, do we see games like this continue to be made?
I think so. I think the thing that'll help it is that, I think what Danny was saying too is that the expectations are way lower than for something like a Battlefield or something huge where it has to make a certain amount of money because they've invested so much in it. Obviously, it's a huge investment for this too, but it's that if it sells moderately well, then that's good enough for them, and that's an encouragement enough, and then that they see people responding to it enough that it will continue. For
God,
sure.
they really are the honey badger of this game. They're just
really
like, yeah, we hope it does okay. So we're just gonna throw all of this at the fire and see what happens. And yeah, you know what? This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, my dream situation for the game would be that it does well enough that Saints Row 4 gets a similar kind of push. They go crazy with the tech, and they go straight up against GTA 5.
I like it.
Ooh,
they're
that'd
like,
be a nice
oh,
fight.
look, you can drive around LA and there's a social consciousness message in the or you can turn into Godzilla and rip the Empire State Building and beat a man with it.
Right.
It's like what, do it. Like I don't care. It's I would love to see something crazy go up against something as sober as GTA has become and see who comes out ahead.
Right.
Which would be great considering how they started. I mean, then that would be a great
Right.
kind of coda
Yeah.
for their split and then coming back and battling. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, we beg of you at home, pick this game up. If you you haven't understood what we've been saying here, it's fantastic. So definitely pick it up. Jess, let's do a couple fan feedback questions. Again, congratulations in advance to the questions we asked. We've got a couple more mystery packs for you just in time for the holidays. If you don't like it, just regift it. Jessica, fan feedback.
All right, Rickster. I'm hoping that I said that right. If you could take any developer you wanted to make any game you wanted, which developer would you choose, and what kind of game would you want made?
Ooh. What about you, ma'am? What do you think?
I would say at this point, God, to continue on my obsession with Skyrim, I would be curious to see Bethesda make a MMO. And I would like to, and I'm fine with it being either a Fallout MMO or a Skyrim MMO. I actually kind of almost think, as much as I love Skyrim, I would prefer to see it kind of a Fallout one, only because there's just so many MMOs involving magic and wizards and stuff.
So Bethesda basically just add multiplayer to Skyrim.
Essentially,
And you're all
that's what
set.
I'm saying.
Yeah, you've got the
basically.
size is there.
First
right?
thing I said about Skyrim was I wish there was multiplayer and co-op on there, which would essentially turn it into an MMO.
Sometimes I pick stuff up if I know like Adam or Blair, like, oh, I'm looking for this or looking for that. Sometimes I will pick stuff up that I know they need and forget that I can't give it to them.
I know.
Like,
I think we talked about this, right?
Like Adam needed ebony ore, and I'm like, oh, whole mindful ebony ore, I can get this stuff for Adam. I'm like, no, I can't.
I can't
It doesn't
give
even
this
make
to
any
him at all.
sense. What am I-
You just come home like, Adam. Oh.
I
Adam
almost
doesn't
don't
live
even
in
care
my
about
Skyrim.
multiplayer as much as I want a way to send items to each other.
Right.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Although, I don't know.
I'm sure there's a post box somewhere.
Yeah, we just haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
It's there. Todd Howard's like,
They're like,
God
oh.
damn it, XPlay. Yes, you can do that.
It's a whole region. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
MMO
all
region.
good.
Stop talking about my game if you've only played it 100 hours. You don't know anything yet.
Matt, what about you?
I would combine Bethesda. I would team Bethesda up with Platinum Games, the Bayonetta people, and I would make a gigantic open world multi-planet Star Wars Jedi game.
You have given this a little bit of thought.
Something of the scope and depth and content richness and density of Skyrim, but with the combat system that the guys at Platinum could come up with. That would for Jedi combat.
Right.
That would be what I would make.
I like that. You could use Qui-Gon's little ponytail to turn into massive demons like the hot chick from Bayonetta.
Ooh.
I like that. That's a terrible idea, Bethesda. If you ever do that, don't ever use that idea. But I do like that a lot. Jake, what about you?
Well, this actually happened last year when Red Dead Redemption came out because that was my for as long as I could remember. GTA Western was the thing I wanted, and from Rockstar, and they did it. So I haven't put a lot of thought into that since then.
So you're
but
saying you don't have an answer.
I don't have an answer, but I probably would think like the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about this was Twisted Pixel doing Earthworm Jim, like bringing back Earthworm Jim, and just because I love those guys and they're absolutely ridiculous, and to see them operating in that world would probably just be a perfect storm of insanity that brains could not comprehend. So that would be something I would like to see on a smaller kind of down scale.
I would also like to really see a remake of Seventh Guest. I am a huge horror genre fan, and there really hasn't been a quality horror genre game for me personally since probably Silent Hill 2.
Okay.
And maybe some Fatal Frame, but yeah, I mean, it kind of just all went downhill from there, and that was just one game that I absolutely loved as a
So
kid.
what developer makes it then?
God, I can't even remember. It was
But
a
that's
PC
half
title.
the question. No, I'm saying what developer would you like to see remake
I
Seventh
see.
Guest?
Bethesda.
Yeah.
Seventh Guest
Bethesda or
MMO.
BioWare.
No. Seventh Guest remade by Ken Levine and his team.
Great idea.
That is a great idea.
There is no possible way.
Shut up, Matt.
Oh.
Wow.
Also,
The friendship
Wait,
severed
no
right in
possible
front of
way
me.
that those two would meet, or no possible way that we'll ever see a Seventh Guest?
well, probably all of the above. Also, also, it's a reference to the Seventh Guest. That's one of the puzzles you solve. The translation turns out to be there is. No
Oh my
possible
God,
way.
you're right.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that depth, huh?
God, you're
Remember that
amazing.
time that we were
It is
excluded and they had that
unbelievable.
moment?
Bonded
Matt
over
is the
knowledge.
Wikipedia of gaming Wikipedia,
He's
basically.
Just, you literally know everything.
He does. Anytime we have a question on XPlay, we could have 3,200 Cray computers in front of us, and not one person will ask Wikipedia on one of those supercomputers. They'll be like, just get Matt on the phone.
Yeah, that's
Matt knows
true.
immediately. It's no big deal. Here's what I want. Cliff Bleszinski has said in every interview that anybody ever asks him, why did you get into games? He always says Shigeru Miyamoto. I want Miyamoto and Bleszinski to sit down together
Oh my God.
and make a game. I don't know what that game would be, but I mean, Miyamoto, master of the Italian stereotype, Bleszinski, master of all stereotypes. Together, it'll be the greatest stereotype game of all time. But could you imagine those two minds coming together and trying to agree on what they should put
I
out?
feel like the universe would just implode.
I just love the idea of those two
I
sitting
think
down
that's
together.
more of a sitcom.
Yeah, it really
Myself,
is, right?
I would watch that show.
All right, if you guys are watching and you don't want to
next
make any
great
money off of
reality
this,
show.
then we
Yeah.
would love to produce it for you on G4. So
Well, it's Shiggy and the Cliff.
Shiggy and the Cliff. That's adorable. All right, great. Well, Rick Stuster, congratulations! You just won a prize pack. Jess, why don't we do one more?
Are we doing one more? Okay.
Yeah, let's do one more.
I'll go to the next one. Captain Reynolds Stunt Double.
Mm.
In honor of Black Friday, can you recommend a title on par with the recent deluge of quality games that doesn't cost $60?
I know Rage is going on crazy sale this week. A lot of places are selling it for like 30 or something. And Portal 2, obviously, has dropped
great
by
example.
now. Mass Effect 2, like $20, probably going to be even cheaper.
On
And-
PC, it was $5.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Mass
Which is
Effect 3 is
crazy.
coming up. Time
Yeah.
to get ready if you haven't played Mass Effect 2.
I'm just gonna let you keep going
I was
with
gonna
this.
say Dragon Age 2, but I'm just like, no, you said on quality on par.
Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad.
It was.
It was not that
Pretty
bad.
bad. It's pretty bad.
Well, we're putting together,
you guys. There
It's
were
like 20 minutes of
dragons
it's
in
pretty
it,
bad.
too.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's another thing about Skyrim, by the way. Skyrim snapped the games with dragons in them suck.
Oh, hell
streak.
yeah, it did.
It
so good.
took years, and we were set back many years by Lair, but Skyrim broke
Why?
it. Skyrim
Controlling
did it.
Dragon
Skyrim
with the
did
six
it.
axis is the future of gaming, Matt. I remember that when they brought that game out, and they were like, "This is what the six axis is all about." This is not a. Actually, this is a title on par with the recent deluge of quality games that don't cost $60. I recommend reading the book Ready Player One. If you were into video games, Ready Player One will run you about $14.99. I made that up, but probably somewhere along those lines.
Somewhere in there.
And it is one of the best books. If you love the 80s and you love video games and all of those things, you're going to love Ready Player One. So my recommendation is to pick up a book this holiday season. The more you know.
If you have a 3DS, and and I know a lot of people don't, but if you do have a 3DS, it's not $60. Super Mario 3D Land is probably the best platformer you're going to play in a very, very, very long time.
Absolutely. I got my hands on it, I think last week maybe, and played about an hour of it. And I can, we've definitely bagged on Nintendo quite a bit on this show. Well, really on every show we have on G4 and on the website. But I can honestly say this is the first title that I think it deserves the title system seller. I think you can potentially invest in the 3DS just for this game.
Yeah, because when Nintendo is on, they are on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's one of the reasons I think they get so much heat from people is like it's like the star gifted genius child where you're just like, I know you're capable of doing better. Than
You can do better than this.
Yeah. And Mario 3D Land is crazy. On par with the Galaxy games easily.
Right.
And almost like just the 3D usage is crazy. And I know our X-Play's writer Mike Dembski like finished it the other day, and they're like, and it's just like, here's 8 more worlds, and they're like, what like it's not done. It's not done. It's a tremendous value.
Actually, we're gonna do one more question because I'm pretty sure Abe Vigoda wrote into us. Amazing that he even knows how to use a computer and is still alive.
Fishy.
So Vigoda.
Vigoda says, I am extremely interested in pursuing video game journalism. What would you guys say are the most important aspects of a person that suits them for this job? I think it depends on what part of journalism you're getting into. Obviously, behind the camera and or in front of it. Me being in front of it, one thing was to get over being scared of the camera, which I still have a hard time doing. And another thing is learning to be humble and not get burnt out in this industry, because you do get hit with a lot of games and you are... After a while, being on camera, it's easy to fall into that, I'm so awesome trap, and such is just not the case. One, not only because you probably not deserve it, two, because there's always people that want your job, and they're more than willing to work harder and cheaper than you do. So just be grateful you're in the position that you're in, and be really careful what you say around the industry, because eventually it is a small pond, and it will come back to bite you in the ass.
Right. There's
That's
a lot
pretty
of
good advice for just entertainment.
Yeah, in
or
general,
any
but-
job in general. Don't
Yeah.
open your mouth around your bosses when you're drinking, because it's always
I'm
going to
not
come
even
back
saying
to you.
around your bosses. I mean, like, be careful what you post on message boards. Be careful where you post in comments. I mean, it's not hard to find out your IP address and who you are, especially if you start working for one of us. And it's a very small pond, even though it doesn't seem like it to others
Right.
outside of it. So you're going to run into the people that you're ripping on, and we will probably beat your ass.
Yeah, what she's saying is we will find you.
Yeah, basically
We
that's what it
will.
boils down
We
to.
will.
I would say, I assume when you talk about video game journalism, he's talking about reviewing things.
Sure.
And writing, like, know where the comma goes, for God's sake. Just read the Bob the Angry Flower comics over and over till you get it. I don't know. I don't know what. It's just like you see amazing grammar and punctuation and spelling in all of these. Some of these things. I don't know who's editing some of this stuff around the net, but like. It's we have a problem too. It's a lot of text volume to go through.
Sure.
But you just gotta be able to write well. Being able to write well is a very rare. It's a rarer thing than you think. And can make you valuable in a lot of different fields. Because a lot of people just don't know basic English, but it has to be right if you're going to put it out as professionally done copy.
Sure.
So I would say do not neglect your English skills, your writing skills, and don't fall into that. Don't fall in the letter U is not a pronoun. Don't fall into that.
Jake, I mean, you deal with the writing far more than the three of us do. So your advice.
Like Matt said, writing is front and foremost the most important thing that you can put all of your attention towards. In college, take as many writing classes as you can. If you want to get into journalism, if you want to do the kind of hard news route, take traditional journalism classes, because those things will teach you everything that you need to know. Not just running up to someone with a tape recorder and saying, "Hey, I like your game. What is it?" It's much more complicated than that.
Right.
And if you have that solid foundation, especially when you come in you're going to get into G4 or any other outlet or something like that, and you're going to cover something specific. If you have that background, it just makes it you're much more wanted. Especially what Matt was saying, like good writing is hard to find. So if you can bring that to the table, on top of your knowledge of games. You know, you can know everything about games and not be able to write, and that really
If
doesn't
you
help
read like
you.
a GameFAQs post, and the key is, and that's gonna, it matters. Like I know a lot of people like, oh yeah, that's not how you spell that, or that's not the right there, or,
Right.
and they're like, well, who cares? You understood what I meant. Well, it's like, well, here's the thing. In this situation where, you would think this is obvious, but judging by some of the submissions we get, it isn't. But like, it's like if Jake is acting reviews editor right now, and like, if he gets a submission and someone's like, it's all written like some crazy internet gibberish, he has to fix all that.
Right.
Whereas if you can write very clearly and correctly, from a grammatical standpoint, that makes his job faster and easier. So he's going to pick you.
Right.
Like that's why it's important.
Sure.
It's not just like us being sticklers for stuff.
And quickly before we move on to our last game of the week, whether you're on camera or whether you're behind the camera writing stuff out, you have to somehow find a way to be both objective and subjective, because you want to try to view all games the same way, but you need to give your own opinion, and that's what separates you from the rest of the pack. But the one thing that I can recommend to anybody, and we've run into this numerous times over the years, but most recently, with Adam's Uncharted 3 review, is that you have to just understand that your opinion is your opinion, and it's okay if other people don't agree with you. It's just your opinion, and really let stuff roll off your back, because I know I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes I'm like, Matt sits next to me, and I'm like, God, these people just, they hate that I said this. And Matt's like, yeah, but dude, that's your opinion, and it's okay, and they're not going to agree with you. So have your own opinion and really embrace the fact that it's your opinion and be okay with that, and, and find a way to...
You really need to have a thick skin, I think, because...
even if you're writing, I mean, you guys get the comment, I mean... You're writing something that you put a lot of your heart into, there's a comment section below the things that you write. And if you were the kind of person that's, masochistic enough to go and read those comments, sometimes those things are hurtful, which is why I've stopped.
Well,
but,
it's hard to take the same beating. Like, let's say you've got, like I've got so many Twitter followers. If I say something that they don't like about a game, versus me telling you guys, and that's maybe 2 people that are commenting back that's telling me I'm wrong, I've got 80,000 people sitting there and telling me I'm wrong. And it's hard to deal with 80,000 people telling you that you suck.
Right.
And, you just, whether you're behind the scenes or in front of it, you really need a thick skin.
Yeah, embrace your opinion and move forward with that. That said, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Jake, the latest in the Assassin's chapter. What do we got going on with this game?
Well, I think it's funny. I forget what we were talking about, the which game specifically that Saints Row, I guess, in this kind of release schedule, that it kind of gets lost. It's a big year when an Assassin's Creed game can be like that came out this year.
Yeah, that's true.
It's one of those games this year.
Also, in
and
conjunction, I think, with the fact that they released one per year for
This
3
is true.
years, and you're kind of like,
which is the biggest the biggest problem. Excuse me. With this Revelations, yes, okay, it picks up right after Brotherhood. Desmond's in a coma. He's in this weird kind of Inception limbo state in his mind. So his part of the game takes place in these kind of weird geometry-filled, mental, creepy coma realm. And then you have Ezio, who's a little older. He's getting too old for this basically storyline. And he's in Constantinople, and it's a new city, and it's a new everything. I think the biggest thing, I like it a lot. I'm an Assassin's fan. And having a lot of fun with it. Some of the most thrilling chase sequences, moments that I've ever had in the game. There's a lot of annoying things too, but there are moments when I'm running along with my assassins on the rooftop, and the music is kind of swelling, and I can see there's like fog, and then see Hagia Sophia in the background and everything, and I'm like, nothing does that better than Assassin's Creed.
Right.
There are a lot of annoying things, which we'll talk about also. But for me, that is a lot of fun. It's a shame that it came out a year after Brotherhood. It's a shame Brotherhood had to come out when it did. I still wish it was half and part of 2. So we had distance makes the heart go fonder, I think, for this, especially for this franchise. But I think fans are going to like it.
I'm glad that we're placed the way we're placed, because we spoke about this before we started shooting. Jake is a huge fan of the series. He loves the game. Matt's a huge fan of the series. He's getting kind of annoyed. Jessica doesn't like the series at all, and she doesn't like this one. So we're just going to move down the line and watch this really regress into just a bunch of hatred for Assassin. But Matt, you're a big fan of the series. You played the crap out of all of the games.
And personally, I think Brotherhood is the best of them. That game really shocked me. I thought it was going to be a one-off, nothing game, and it had a lot of new cool stuff in it. I don't feel this one, I feel, still does the stuff that Brotherhood did well, but the new stuff in it blows. Specifically the tower defense missions, which are the worst idea I think has ever gone into this series. I mean, there's an idea there that's actually a good idea, and actually I should say, but the execution is borderline unplayable to me. I don't want to do. I mean, I will. When your Templar awareness meter fills up, you can be attacked, and I will murder anyone I have to stop that from happening because I do not want to play the damn thing. And of course, it doesn't even really matter because a lot of people I know who are playing it will just let the tower defense mission fail and then just turn around and kill the guy who's in charge of the because the Templars take back over the den, and you just turn around and kill the guy who's in charge and you get it back
right back
and
to you.
it's
Right.
like, all right, that was easy, and it takes less time than playing the actual mission. And it's just like everything else I've already done twice, in 2 and Brotherhood, and I just feel like it doesn't have a lot more to offer me, and I really like Ezio as a character, but I'm kind of tired of his face a little bit at this point. It's just sort
That's
of
why
like,
they put a beard on him, man.
Oh yeah, and dude, like and then the worst thing, it's kind of worse in the sense that like I know that even that's not going to happen in this game because there's that damn cartoon to watch afterwards where he's actually even older, and you're like Ubisoft, let go of the man, let the man rest, okay?
Danny Glover doesn't want to do Lethal Weapon 5. Just let him go.
And the other thing, and this was a problem for me in Brotherhood as well, but it's still an ongoing problem, is this full sync bullshit. Where every mission has like the optional objective to get full sync, and like I hate that. This series should not have something that tells you the right way to do things.
Right.
Like if you want to take it, I mean, I would remove it completely because I don't like to see the full sync failed thing.
Right, you see 50%, even if you just did it like you would normally play it.
Like, don't do that. Don't punish me for that. Let me do what I want. So if they insist on keeping it, and they shouldn't, but if they insist on keeping it, make it only pop up when I replay the missions. Make it like an achievement to have that, and then like leave me alone for the initial playthrough, and then let me go back and see the optional objectives, and then like, put them in there.
Sure.
Well, it's also
I hate that. I'm like, I'll see things and I'm like, oh, I bet I could go over this roof and over that way, and I can get this guy, and it's like, use smoke bombs to distract 4 guards, and I'm just like, oh. I didn't want to use smoke bombs here.
Well, it's also somewhat flawed because I was running a mission where I was supposed to walk from point A to point B without attracting any guards or causing any issues, and I didn't. But my AI companion did, and because he was with me, all of a sudden I failed. And
I had the same thing where like early on there was a
hell?
mission where it's like don't create any conflict in the
probably
area.
the same one that I was doing
And
then.
it was like you're supposed to have to assassinate. It's the first Templar den you're supposed to take back, and they're teaching you how that works. And you're supposed to take out the captain without creating any conflict in the area. So I go over to where he is, and there's a guy on the roof. So what I do, I go up and I assassinate the guy on the roof, and it's like objective failed. I'm like silently assassinating someone is not conflict.
Murder is conflicting
That's the
morally,
goal.
though.
Like to me, that says don't get in a fight.
Right. So what I'm getting from, because I didn't have the opportunity to play the game, but I'm gathering that unless you do it the way that they want you to do it, you're not going to get the full experience.
And
Well,
it-
there's like you unlock extra stuff.
Sure.
I think the biggest problem with it is that there's so many. It's such a good game of giving you so many options. Like you can see, like when you're like, okay, you're going to assassinate that guy. You have like at least 15 different things at your disposal to do that. So when they have this sync thing of like, use this do it one specific way, it's contradictory to the way it's set up.
Why are you
So-
bottlenecking me like that? It's just ridiculous.
All right. So it should have been more open-ended, more open world-y.
And the thing is,
Well,
it is open
that's
worldy.
the
It's
thing.
just I'm obsessive about that stuff and
Right.
getting it complete, and I just don't like seeing that failed thing pop up when I just that's not rewarding.
And not only that, but to me, part of the charm of the entire series is the fact that you can do things multiple ways. And so to be forced to do it this way and then be told, well, screw you, you did it wrong, is
Right.
just insulting.
Right.
Yeah.
Black
But-
duct tape on the bottom of the television screen, would that help
No,
at
'cause
all?
it's up
No,
here.
it's
Oh,
up here.
God,
Yeah.
ridiculous
Yeah.
design flaw, you guys.
Yeah.
Come on. If I can't black out
It's
anything on
very
my TV,
obvious.
it's ridiculous. Before we go, guys, anything that you have to plug, anything that people should be looking out for, anything you're excited about?
Nothing. I still can't talk about anything yet,
Okay.
but it's coming.
All right, good. Well, we look forward to it when you do eventually announce it.
Holiday Buyer's Guide on XPlay next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All
Holiday
next week.
Buyer's Guide again online g4tv.com/buyers guides. Holiday Buyer's Guide, lots of stuff there.
Right, right. And to expand on that, not only do we have our own holiday buyers guide that we're putting together here, as far as I know, on G4TV.com, you're also covering all the Black Friday deals, the Cyber Monday. Everything will be
Lots
aggregated
of
into
stuff,
this
lots
one.
of stampedes, lots of people getting hurt
Right.
to buy games.
You
yes.
guys are going to wait in line at Target at midnight so people don't have to do that.
yeah, hurting
And
people.
Video Game Deathmatch ongoing.
And Video
Yes.
Game Deathmatch is ongoing.
A
Yes,
lot of great
exactly.
stuff on the website, and our best of the year stuff's coming up. Holiday Buyers Guide coming up next, and of course we will see you next week as well on G4TV.com/feedback. Until then, though, happy Thanksgiving. please use this time not to hang out with your family, but to play all the games that we've been talking about over the last 3 weeks.